why.
Okay, we're not live yet.
We're going through the usual rubbish, trying to make things work.
There we go. Now it's happening. Oh boy.
Oh boy, oh boy.
There you go. There we go.
Okay, I think we're in the game.
It's all happening. Hey guys, how are we all today?
Welcome to viewer comments and questions on this 27th of April. Live, going to the nation. Dan's on the gin.
I am on the gin.
You lucky boy. I have tea.
Honestly, I was very well behaved on the weekend. And I've had a long, large weekend. Cheers. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers, mate. This is water, by the way.
That's good. That's good. Right, ready to
rock.
Cool. Hello from Brazil.
Do your dirty work no more. I've been listening to Steely Dan today, Dan.
Have you?
Yes. How is everybody? I'm just trying to get to today's video and struggling badly.
I've been listening to Madison Cunningham.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, my word.
Well, maybe a topic of today's discussion can be life-affirming existential crises, because I've just had one today as well.
Have you?
Yeah.
How? What?
Tom Booker Vac.
Yes.
I started watching his series.
Right.
If you don't know who Tom Booker Vac is, check him out. I think he's called something like 301 Chorus Echo or something.
It's 501 Chorus Echo.
Yeah, on YouTube. And Tom is a Nashville guitar player, a really seriously good Nashville guitar player. I would imagine most people watching this will know exactly what I'm talking about. But if you don't, 501 Chorus Echo. And boy, oh boy. He sits there with a Roland Microcube and a couple of pedals, and I'm guessing a laptop or an iPhone.
Yeah.
And gets a better sound than we have ever achieved in our whole lives ever. So I'm not entirely sure how that works.
Well, he's pretty amazing.
It does make me wonder, having just spent the last week trying to record a vlog, about the effort and the tech that goes into it, going, you know what, maybe an iPhone is just better. After all this time, Dan, of obsessing. And he's so accessible, and Simon put me onto him, put us onto him, didn't he?
Yes. Yeah.
So anyway. Sorry, I finally got to the this week's video. Steve Richardson says, is it normally a 1700 start? No, sometimes 1730 hours, which is 30 hours from 1700. But yeah, we're starting a little bit earlier. Sorry to all those people in the America or the Australia where the time is a different time.
I'm having issues trying to sort of, because all the clocks going forward and everything, and like Australia is now completely back to front to where I am.
Right, like 12 hours or something.
So, yeah. So I'm having fun trying to organise, conversations with friends and family.
Yeah. That's the weird thing with COVID, isn't it? You're expected to talk to people more.
Yeah.
Do you find that?
Yeah. But I'm liking it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's okay. I guess I'm liking it because every other form of social contact is so limited.
Yeah.
So I'm catching up with some old friends and
yeah.
Some older friends are just making sure they're okay, and so it's
It's a good thing.
every silver lining.
Yeah, apparently. All right then. So we're talking about Friday's video in the main, but given these weird times, we can talk about anything you like. And Friday's video was where Dan and I swapped guitars and amps. So I played Dan's Telly through his matchless, and he played Simon Greene's old Strat through the 2-Rock. And I'll just answer a question from... Sorry, I have taken some questions from the comments section. From Ross, from Nicodemus Enger, and from One Last Cast, who are saying, hang on a minute, Mick described the 61 Strat as his. Is it his? No, it's not. It still belongs to Simon Greene, the owner, but I referred to the Stratocaster in general as my guitar, which I appreciate is probably a bit of an overstatement, but I meant because I normally play Strats. Anyway, yeah, so it's not mine, sadly. And it was interesting, wasn't it, Dan? What did you think, having seen it back? Because it was a while ago that we recorded it.
I'd forgotten how much fun it was. I'd forgotten how much fun playing a Strat is.
Yeah.
And I'd forgotten how good you sound on a Telecaster, which is why you're never allowed to play them on the show.
And not that it's a competition, but the vast majority of the comments were in favour of Dan on the Strat, I have to say. Lots of very nice... People were really surprised and really... I don't know why they were surprised, but they were really...
hang on. It wasn't just Dan on the Strat. It was me and a 1961, a spectacular example of a 61 Strat through the 2-Rock. You can't go wrong with that.
Oh, I
mean,
know.
it is just what a sound.
I don't know.
And I think the pedals that you picked, like that's Zonk machine, man.
Yeah.
It just has work for me.
Yeah.
Just love it. So good.
Tis cool. He's sending Dan's sending a couple of other things actually. Dan Drive is going to send.
Oh, is he?
The Tweedy in a high power twin variant and something else. Anyway, look forward to getting that. It was good, wasn't it? I enjoyed it too. It was a nice change, and lots of people out there were completely weirded out by us on opposite sides and playing the wrong guitars. Justin Salmons says, you both look and sound truly uncomfortable. This exceeded my expectations and was a delight to watch. And the main themes were there were two main themes, Aux End and DS, among many others, were commenting that it was great to see us out of our comfort zones. And Tony Siret, or it might be Siret, but S-I-R-E-T, Tony Siret put it perfectly, I thought. He or she said, great show, guys. I love it when you're outside the comfort zone because then I don't have to be.
That's very good. That's very good.
Yeah, there's a lot of people talking about comfort zones, and I was thinking, I don't want my... So, I don't know, pick somebody who you love. I don't want to hear Doyle Bramall out of his comfort zone. I want to hear him squarely in his comfort zone.
Right.
Because that's what I like him for.
Yeah.
Who would you like to hear out?
That's such an interesting thing, because when I'm practicing, I want to be outside my comfort zone but only so that I can get more comfortable when I'm, so when those changes come up, I am more comfortable playing them. Yep. It's like the whole thing with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is being comfortable in uncomfortable situations.
Right.
And so the more you work on being uncomfortable and you become more comfortable in that situation, so then you can just sort of forget about thinking about it and just sort of relax and fly. It's like if you ever heard Alan Holdsworth play live, and he could play over anything, and he was so comfortable because he'd put himself through that endlessly.
He didn't have to make a YouTube video at the beginning of his at the beginning of his being entirely uncomfortable phrase, did he?
Yeah, right, exactly.
Oh, Holdsworth, bless him, blimey.
Oh, man. Did you ever see him play?
Do you know what? I saw him. I'm sure I saw him demoing on booths, but I never actually saw a gig. But I did meet him. Maybe at a NAMM show.
Well, I saw him at a gig at the Harbourside Brasserie in Sydney. No, sorry, it was the Basement. It was the Basement in Sydney, and I was so taken aback. And then at the end of the gig, I was leaving, and there he was, sat at the bar by himself
with a glass and a bottle.
Yeah, and I just went,
Always
hey,
poured
this
it into
and I
a
went sat
glass.
next to him and said, can I buy you a drink? And we sat and chatted for about half an hour. It was amazing, and he told me that he was funding the whole tour on his credit card.
Ouch.
Yeah.
Sorry,
but it was
standing in front of you.
It was pretty amazing. It was lovely to chat to him. Oh man, I was. I went to that gig, and I had become friends with the guitar player from Cold Chisel, a guy called Ian Moss. And he was at the gig as well. And Moss is an incredible blues guitar player, wonderful, wonderful singer. Anyone that knows Cold Chisel, Ian Moss, absolute Australian legend, icon of the music industry. And so we both sat at the bar having a chat, and then Holdsworth comes on. He plays the first song, and then we just stand and look at each other with mouths open, just trying to comprehend what we just heard.
He was unbelievable.
It's pretty amazing. Gee, I've gone way off piste, haven't I?
Well, you're on the gin, Dan. What do we expect?
I'm hardly on the gin. I've had. Oh, fair enough.
That's enough for you. Fraser is on. Hello, Fraser. He's laughing at us, I think, probably for my comments about Tom Booker Vac and Gary Mosley. We're talking about Tom Booker Vac, 501 Chorus Echo on YouTube is who we're talking about. Now then, somebody says, Mick, are you out of hair product? That would be James Harrell. James, I'm not. I have copious amounts of hair product. What I'm out of is a haircut. The hair on the top of my head grows like the flipping clappers. I have to have it cut every 3 weeks. But the hair out of my face grows less like the clappers.
I like it.
I like it too.
I think it looks great. I think it looks really great.
I make this gag tomorrow in my vlog, but if there is a 14-year-old ginger boy walking around with a full-grown man's beard, could you let me have it back, please? Because I've got yours. Anyway. Yeah, I like it too. What I've realised about even a short, crappy beard like mine is that it hides your fat chin.
It does.
Yeah, and it actually, if you don't have much of a chin, it gives you one.
Yeah, I have. So that's why I have mine shaped, because I don't have a great chin.
Yeah. Maybe we could get some surgery.
Well, Michael says, Dan, Silverchair, Mick, Oasis, Thoughts, the 90s versions of both. A really interesting thing with Silverchair, when they first came out, I just remember them being called Nirvana in Pajamas.
What was his name? Daniel?
Children's TV show called Bananas in Pajamas, from memory. Anyway, but I saw them, and they were incredible. The one thing about Silverchair, though, they released, I think Triple J discovered them, or someone from Triple J. Anyway, they had a demo that they released on Triple J, and it became this massive hit. And then they went and re-recorded the song in a top studio with a top producer and all the stuff. Sounded nowhere near as good as a demo. But yeah, Daniel Johns.
Daniel Johns, that's it.
Sorry?
Daniel Johns. I was trying to remember the guy's name.
Incredible talent. I loved Silverchair. I thought they were great. Oh, thank you, Mark Lavinish.
And the question
you two are the sommeliers of tone. One can't help but wonder why you don't have the speakers facing you when auditioning gear. Better sound, no? Because it's not how we play. The amps are always behind us.
Always used to hear
when you're gigging, that's the experience you have. I mean, I'm not listening to studio monitors. I think that's just you get used to the sound of the amp in a certain position.
So you referred to us as sommeliers. Let's see. Hot Black Desiato and Stefan Buchev said we're more like Bert and Ernie from Sesame Street.
But there you go.
Yeah.
I think that's more accurate.
And much more complimentary. Definitely heroes of mine. I think the other question was, what did I think of Oasis in the 90s? In the 90s, I thought they were truly awful because they were against everything that I believed music was about. And they were killing the magazine I was working for, killing it Stone Dead, Guitarist magazine, because we were obsessed with all the old hairy idiots playing rock. As I've grown up, I've come to regard Oasis and Noel in particular as a very special genius musician. And I love Noel's work especially, but the whole band.
Yeah.
And that's just part of growing up, isn't it? You don't understand it. I hated all 80s pop music. And now I absolutely adore it because the songwriting was blooming genius.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like Cyndi Lauper.
I didn't realise that Noel was such a great guitar player.
Poor connection. We still on? Someone let me know if I'm still on. This is what happens during a global pandemic, I guess. Come on, Dan. Okay, in the meantime, no, I think we are actually off, aren't we? Yawn. We're live. Oh my goodness me. I'm really sorry, guys. Hi, man.
Well, hello.
Hello.
That's fun.
Internet went down. Sorry, everybody.
It's okay.
To be honest, it's on and off today. So if it goes down again, we might have to make a call.
Okay.
Which is really boring.
Tom Snyder asks, any more vlogs on your Strat journey, Mick?
Yes. Hi, Tom.
Yes.
Thank you for that. That's very generous of you. There's one coming out tomorrow. So your actual question, Tom, do you love the Ron Ellis pickups and do the custom shop pickups stand up to them? Also, do you ever use the loop on your amps for wet effects in your wet dry? Do I love the Ron Ellis pickups? Yes, I do. It's been really difficult because I put them in the guitar, and as you'll see in the vlog tomorrow, it's been quite a painful process of trying to hear the guitar at home, which I just can't do. Although Tom Booker Vac's made me think about that whole thing today. And then, so I did come here yesterday to plug in, and I plugged in and I got a load of really average sounds because I think my head just wasn't in it. So it's a bit, I'm just completely a fish out of water. So I do like them and the guitar sounds great, but I've got no frame of reference. So it's a little bit disappointing at the moment.
Ah.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, sorry to hear that.
Well, it's that thing, isn't it? Everything is out of context. It's a bit like having a nice motorbike parked in the garage. What do you think of your nice motorbike? Well, it's great, but it's parked in the garage.
Yeah, yeah.
So, or the garage for our American friends. So yes, there is one tomorrow. There are some interesting bits in the vlog about changing the pickups and some thoughts on pickup height and stuff like that. So it's not a complete waste of time, but.
Did you, when you said you came in and you got some average sounds, did you have the 61 with you for reference?
Yeah.
And would the 61 sounding awesome?
Yeah, and in many respects, I'm preferring blue.
Wow.
Yeah. I don't know whether it's just because it's my connection with it or what, but it really does sound to my liking at this point. But I don't know if... So you can see the amps set up behind me here. Two Rock'N'Roll.
Oh, my goodness.
And that's the rig that I used. And the sound through the mics and in the room mics was really different from what we normally get. So I don't know if I was doing something weird, but I don't know if it's a proximity
It's because
thing.
you don't have the sounds reflecting off my bald head.
That's what it is. And I wonder, because I was crazy loud as well, because I haven't played guitar loud for 5 weeks.
Right.
So I was crazy loud. And I reckon I've got a theory that those mics, once you get to a certain SPL, roll off a lot of high end.
Oh, wow, okay.
So I'm going to test
the compression in the mic.
Yeah, so I want to test it. And Fraser was wondering the same thing. So I want to test it to see if, because I was cranking on quite a lot of treble to the post-production thinking, hang on, it's way treblier than that in the room.
Wow.
So yeah, a little bit disappointing in the journey. It's very hard, when you're doing stuff like that.
But it's really interesting. I think the, so we've been having this discussion about recording amps quietly and the difference that makes. Yeah. And I've got an isolation cab that's going to be here in a couple of days.
Yeah.
And that's something that I want to look at, because I remember recording at home in Australia, and I recorded a demo, and I had a Marshall in the toilet, and it was I was in an apartment, and it was whisper quiet, and I had one done as a condenser microphone, sort of a foot away from the amp. And it was one of the best guitar sounds I've ever recorded.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's the difference between, it's not just the amplifiers working hard, but it's the effect that sound pressure level is having on the microphones and the rest of the system when you're recording.
Yeah.
I think it's really interesting.
And it's very hard to record a loud guitar.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's relevant to where we started with talking about Tom Booker Vac. Is that the correct way to say his name? Tom Booker Vac. He's there with his microcube and the laptop or iPhone, or he might have something more clever than that, but I don't think there is, because you hear the compression on his voice and everything.
Mm.
And in the vlog tomorrow, you'll hear I'm sat there at home with the Two Rock and the Mesa, like barely on, and mics in front of them both. And actually, the recorded tone is probably more pleasing than the cranked Two Rock and the Marshall in here.
Wow.
Or some people will think it is. To me, sat in the room, I'm trying to play it going, wow, I can't even play this because I just can't even play it. It's so quiet. And yet I'm in here going, oh, I'm happy. And then the recorded sound is a bit pants. So I guess there's something for us all to learn there.
Interesting. Yeah. Frankie Boy, thank you very much, mate. He says, you ordered a Sonface with a power jack option. Which of my power supplies can I use? Voodoo Labs PP2, True Tones CS7, all the best from Frankfurt. Frank. Frank, you can use any output from any isolated supply. There it is. Now, what you will find, though, it will sound different from a standard isolated output. It will sound different than on a battery. And an alkaline battery will sound different than a carbon battery. So, you might prefer the sound on the supply, you might prefer the sound on the battery. Just experiment with it. But yeah, the battery, the way you power a Sonface does have a big effect on the sound. Here's one for you, Mick. EJ Smith says, hi, fellas.
Hang on.
I have the Gladio Gas. I'm wondering how it does with the SRV Tone. I have a King Tone Dualist, but I was thinking about something new.
I'll come to that in a second. The thing that Dan is too modest to be talking about is he makes a thing called the virtual battery. As you can see, which is lovingly attached to my Sonface here. Slight tangent. I was talking to Dan Drive this morning. He's saying, do you want, should he put a hole as standard in his pedals because he said he's seen I do this, and I've drilled one in my Austin Pride, and Owen Barry's done it in his as well.
Right.
Anyway, so
Awesome.
Dan makes something called the virtual battery, and the new one actually has a sag control on it, doesn't it?
Yeah. So the idea with the virtual battery is
At the
it's
gigrig.com.
so it's not a voltage sag. What it does is it changes the way. If you look at an alkaline battery and a carbon battery, they both deliver current differently. And if you put so what happens to the battery? When the transistors start to draw current, the battery actually puts up a little bit of resistance. And that resistance differs between a carbon battery and an alkaline battery. But that's that feeling, that sort of a sag feeling that you get, the interplay between the way that battery delivers current and the way that a normal power supply. So normal power supply is just like endless supply of current. That's instant. But especially with fuzzers, that interplay between the battery and the transistors is a really big part of the sound. So that's what the virtual battery does. It isolates it the same way a battery does, but it mimics the way that the battery puts up a little bit of resistance when it starts to deliver the current, which when we were experimenting, found it was a massive factor. And then you can switch between the way an alkaline delivers current and the way a carbon battery delivers current.
And can you connect that to the power jack on the pedal, or do you have to connect it to the battery terminal inside?
No, there's two sorts. There's a DC sort and a BC sort. So battery clip sort and a DC sort.
And does it work the same?
Exactly the same.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. And sorry, EJ.
I have a DC sort when yes, Frankie boy, I've got a VBDC connected to the DC jack of my Sonface, and same thing.
Yeah, as long as it's 9 volts, and doesn't matter how much current you can, as long as it's 9 volts, and they're all center negative, aren't they? The Sonfaces. Yeah. So as long as it's 9 volts center negative, doesn't matter.
There you go.
EJ Smith, sorry, to your question, which Dan just asked, how does the Gladio, the Cornerstone Effects Gladio, do with the SRV tone? You've got a dualist already. I would say stick with the dualist. The Gladio is awesome, is really, really awesome, and I love it. But it's more, it's less of that kind of throaty mid-range SRV tube screamery thing, which one half of the dualist does exceptionally well, and more kind of slightly raggier amp dumbly kind of thing, I guess you would say. So if it's SRV specifically, stick with the dualist because it is the best tube screamer on the tube screamer side.
The thing is, when I listen to Stevie Ray, his tone is different song to song.
Yeah.
I mean, there's obviously there's a thread.
Yeah.
But when someone says the SRV tone, what is the typical thing they're talking about?
Felt like it got, I mean, in relation to Friday's video, and this is not me comparing either me or Dan to SRV, what you noticed was when we swapped guitars and amps, we still sounded like ourselves, even us. So if you take that to SRV's level, it doesn't really matter what he plays through. You know, the SRV tone is Strat, heavy strings, big action, and Stevie playing it. So if you go back to Texas Flood, 1983, you know, super glassy, massive, not a huge amount of overdrive. By the time you get to In Step, which I guess was whenever that was, late 80s, might even have been the early 90s, forgive me, I don't know. But In Step, his last studio album.
Yeah.
Loads more overdrive.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the classic Stevie tone is live at El Macambo, Strat, cranked amps, tube screamer. It just doesn't get any better than that for me, for SRV. And for that, I'm thinking tube screamer, not set too dirty, into a banging Fender amp.
Yeah, I think,
or indeed the Dumble if you've got the balls for it. But
it'd be really interesting. I think it'd be a really interesting show to look at the tube screamer and the different effect it has on an amp that has got headroom and an amp that is absolutely banging.
Yeah, what a great idea.
I was due.
Doyle Bramall told me He was playing on the same bill with Stevie Ray one time. And he had to walk past Stevie Ray to get to his rig. And he said his knees physically buckled when he walked in front of the 412 cab with the EVs.
That's awesome.
Yeah, sorry for the name drop. Right, how do I reload this then? Because I've lost my comments, I think.
Grant Thomas says, hi guys, just to say I didn't go for a Tokai Les Paul. I looked at an R9, but I bought a Feline UK guitar instead. I'm so happy at a superb instrument. He makes awesome guitars.
Jonathan makes lovely guitars, yeah.
Yeah, it really does.
Very cool, very, very cool. I'll start the app up again.
I looked at a V-style guitar that Jonathan made a few years ago, and it was lovely. I think from memory, Thorpe has a couple of his guitars as well. But he's great.
Yeah.
And did you know that he was in the... Now, let me get this right. He was in one of Queen's film clips.
Oh, really?
As an extra.
No way.
Yeah, and there's you can see there's a shot of him. Oh, what was it? Anyway, yeah, he's there anyway. Really interesting. But yeah, great luthier.
Soren Leddit, hello Soren from Denmark. He says, loved the show on Friday. Dan, why did you not put the blue knob tonal recall on instead of the red knob one that you don't have? I'm like Mick, but the tonal recall is amazing and easy to operate with 2 extra presets.
Well, I did not use the blue knob one. I think that for me, the blue knob one is a bit dark. I love the red knob one. And it's got a bit more clarity. The blue knob one is great, but it's a darker sounding repeat. And I wanted the ability to have a nice shiny slapback, as well as the modulation and stuff. But I'm using a red knob one at the moment, and it's really lovely, really lovely. Joel is so switched on, man. He's so great.
Yes, sorry, I am listening.
It's all right.
Ben Hutton has asked a question, which was also asked by Banjo Bones. So Banjo Bones asked it in the comments section over the weekend, and Ben Hutton is asking it today, and it's been sort of the source of some confusion. It's a question for me. While I was picking pedals for Dan, I said, Dan doesn't really play with a lot of gain, but he likes loads of overdrive. Is it not the same thing? It's a good question. I think what I said was Dan doesn't use high gain, and when I mean high gain, I'm talking about modern kind of high gain. So if you think about, So yes, of course, it's the same thing. Loads of overdrive and high gain is exactly the same thing by anyone's definition. But sorry, my definition is when I talk about high gain, I mean modern high gain in the vein of people like Rabia. And all those, the reason I'm finding it so hard to understand is because all those bands I don't understand, like, I don't know, Meshuggah, Carnival, all that stuff. But,
that's what I have with my tea.
Yeah.
I have Meshuggah.
So, yeah, contemporary progressive music and everything that sort of preceded it. So probably from nu metal onwards, I would say. So from the mid-90s onwards when Korn turned up. That to me is high gain, but loads of overdrive is Billy Gibbons, maybe even Iron Maiden actually, if we want to talk about harder bands.
See, that's it's such an interesting.
Maybe it's an EQ thing.
The high gain thing. Well, I was in a studio, and in the 90s, and Korn had come out, and I was having a word with the producer. I said, "Oh man, this thing is so heavy." He says, "I'll show you heavy." And then he gave me a copy of King Crimson Red.
Yeah.
As an example of heavy guitars. Just like, oh, okay. It's because the thing is, you can have lots of gain, but unless it's harmonically heavy as well, it's like what Rabia does harmonically is very heavy.
Yeah.
But you can have loads of gain and not. If it's not harmonically heavy, it just sounds like, I don't know. It sounds like a wasted opportunity.
Yeah, and it's a stylistic thing, isn't it? I mean, I listen to a lot of those very modern guitar sounds, and all I can hear is compression and EQ. It doesn't sound like a guitar to me. It sounds like something else, but which, it's just a purely personal thing. So that's what I meant. Loads of overdrive, like traditional overdrive, not high gain, as in whatever that is.
Sure. Moav Entertainment says, is the Simon Greene that lended you the vintage Strat the same Simon Greene from the land Bonobo?
I don't know. I don't know if Simon is in a band called Bonobo. I don't know that, I'm afraid. Could be. Donald G. Thank you, Donald. Hey, guys. Dan, I really love tellies. I've converted 2 of mine into Esquires using Emerson wiring.
Oh, nice.
Actually, because of you mentioning them, I have Emerson electronics in all my tellies. Nice.
Very good.
Nice to hear of tellies going to Esquires rather than the other way around.
Yeah. I'd be interested to hear why you did that.
Well, because a Telecaster is in a Esquire with the pickup you don't need. I don't know who that.
Very good.
I don't know who that quote is attributed to, but it always makes me laugh.
Oh.
Where are we? Zack Briggs. Thank you, Zack, for that.
Thank you, Zack.
Friday's episode. When you two were playing your own guitars at the end, I thought you both sounded amazing. Thank you. It's very kind of you.
Very kind.
I think there was an element of relief in that, wasn't there, probably?
Yeah. To get that guitar back in my hands with that sound, I mean, to hear my guitar through your amp, wow. Just then hearing things in that guitar I hadn't heard before, and it was just lovely. But having the familiarity of that guitar, because there's a lot, if you consider that we're both playing each other's guitars into each other's rigs, there's a lot of things that were unfamiliar. So at least when we had our guitars in our hand, even though the rigs and the pedals we were using weren't things that we would normally use, because we had our instruments, then we could work our way around, any unexplored sonic territory, if that makes sense, because we had our home base.
Yeah, you know what to do, don't you? You know where it's dynamic. I've been thinking about this so much along the lines of the pickup vlog and everything else, and also after Friday's video, and just in general, you have a couple of weeks away from playing, and you start thinking about stuff, and I've been thinking about that, the whole relationship of guitar sound. Because most people's experience of guitar sound is either via a record, a piece of recorded music, or via YouTube, and a guitar tone and a guitar feeling. And I think I've said this before, but to me, a guitar tone is probably 25% sound, maybe 30%. And the rest of it is what you feel. I'm talking about from the player's perspective here, not from the listener's perspective. What you feel when you're playing it. Because... yeah, it's just that connection, that those just micro, tiny things, which someone else asked a question here, and I'm sorry that I've lost it, but the question was, how much difference, how good does the sound have to be before the audience notice that it's a crappy guitar sound? And the answer is, I don't care.
Yeah.
Because what the audience notices is a performer who is engaged and is flowing some sort of passion or art. If you're there to watch the gig, I mean, if you're there to sink a few drinks, talk through the whole of the set, be rude about the band and go home again, which is what it seems most people at gigs do these days. That's a different thing. And I don't think those people really do care. But if you're there and you're into the artist, when they're having a good night and when they're not, and
especially if it's an artist that you see a lot. I remember going to see Midnight Oil. I mean, I must have seen them 6 or 7 times, and there were nights where the guitar sounds, I mean, they always were great. But there were not, there was one night, it was the best gig I've ever seen in my life, where they were just on and the guitar sound was on and everyone was connected and magic happened. They never went through the motions. They were always really pushing it. But, hearing Jim Magini with his, and the night that they were absolutely cranking, I think they were using their Voxes and just completely connected, completely free, and yeah, absolute, just magic happened. Yeah, fascinating.
That was a bit of a tangent, but yeah, I think we're both saying the same thing, aren't we?
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm saying we're both tangenting.
It was a tangent in that, sort of my experience where, it's the performer, whether the tone is, how much that tone is driving that performance, but in the end, it comes down to so many more factors than just what's coming out of the speaker.
Yeah. And the reason it's hard to explain is because the bit of your brain that deals with language can't deal with the kind of feelings you feel when you feel music.
Yeah.
It's a different bunch of receptors. Tom Snyder, let's get back to safer territory, shall we, Dan? Tom Snyder says, thanks, Tom. Tom says, so I ordered a Sonface NKT. Should I go straight into it from my guitar or can I hit my Polytune and EP booster first? No, definitely put it on the end of your guitar and put your Polytune and EP booster afterwards. In fact, as a general point on tuners, most people seem to think that their tuner is best right at the start of their board. I personally prefer mine after my gain stages because, if you're not using a loop switcher, because if you leave your overdrive pedals on when you put the tuner on, you still get all the hiss. Whereas if you put your tuner afterwards, and as long as it doesn't have a nasty buffer or something like that, in fact, even if it does have a nasty buffer, it's much better after your overdrive pedals. Dan?
I agree wholeheartedly.
In fact, it was almost certainly you that told me that. So you can take the the credit for the answer. So yeah, to answer your question, Tom, definitely put that Sonface on the end of your guitar, and you'll find that it reacts off your volume control much better than if you've got other pedals and buffers in between.
Like it. Ben Butterworth. Hey, Ben.
Hello, Ben. Long time since we've heard from you.
Yeah, I hope you're doing great. So he asked, why did delay repeat sound clearer into my DI aux than to my ears? To me, it can lack clarity. Are my ears sensitive to treble? Do others suffer this? Help me understand the question, Mick. Why do my delay repeats sound clearer into my DI aux?
Oh, everything sounds clearer through the aux. It's got a high-end frequency response that is just feels a bit more hi-fi to me, and I don't know whether that's because the speaker is removed. I've definitely found that. It just sounds crisper and cleaner and all of those things than an amp, so it could simply be that. That's the thing I was struggling with, which is why I've stopped using it, is because I can't get my amp to sound how my amp sounds. So
right.
Yeah, but I think in the context of recorded music, that's actually a really good thing because it's present and it sits in the mix.
I think there's a whole series on recorded guitar tone.
Yep.
Just the stuff that the vlogs that we're doing individually. I've had the most fascinating journey doing this. The stuff with the Torpedo Waller sound and the IRs and that sort of stuff. I've learned so much in this past few weeks, and I've got an isolation cab coming this week as well. But considering our experience of being on the show and playing loud guitars and the sound that we get on the show every week, and then coming to do it myself in a tiny little room, thinking, okay, how can I get that big sound? And it's like starting again.
Yeah.
You know, and I think it's a really great topic that you and I should delve into a bit deeper, especially now when so many of us are stuck at home. Most of us stuck at home, and if we have time, the technology is there, available for us to all record stuff at home.
Yeah.
So, how do we get the most bang for buck? How do we get the sounds that we're used to playing at with volume? How do we get that into the computer?
It's fascinating.
Because I don't know about you, but I've had a right, real eye-opening experience, a real kick in the pants, because it's hard. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, I haven't been surprised by how hard it is because I've obviously, same as you, been around a lot of recording and done a lot of recording in my life.
Yeah.
So the surprise it hasn't really been there. What I have had is being completely disheartened, which is why I've shut my song vlog down and went back to Strat pickups, because it's like trying to be guitar player, producer, engineer, mixer.
That is hard. That is so hard.
People who can properly do that are incredible humans.
Yep.
That is some kind of superpower if you can actually do that.
Yep.
So, but the way to fix it isn't that difficult. You compartmentalize it and you go, right, let's get the tech sorted so we're happy with the sound. And then let's walk away. And then let's get ourselves in an environment where the tech is no longer a problem, so I don't have to think about that. Then concentrate on the playing and get the parts down. Because I don't know about you, Dan, what I'm finding is I'm going, actually, I don't really know this part. And I'm on take 61 using a sound I hate. Going, yeah, I think I can understand why this isn't working. A, I don't like the sound. And B, I don't know what I'm blooming playing.
So, fascinating. Absolutely. I think I brought it up last week when the Cars did their first album and Elliot Easton recorded those guitar parts and did all of the guitar tracks in a day, including solos and everything, because they had rehearsed everything and they'd played live as well so much that he knew back to front every single note that he was going to play. He went in, nailed it, first take every time, bang.
Yeah.
The other side of that coin is being free enough in that situation to be able to allow things to happen.
Yep.
Now, I've one of the songs that's on my EP, I haven't quite got the name for it at the moment. It's tenuously called The Healer, but I don't think that's what's going to end up being called. But I think it's the
song,
only proper guitar solo on the EP. And I just happened to jag this solo that I was really, really pleased with. And it's out there, certainly at the end. So I think in that recording situation, it is being comfortable. So, if you've got a part to play, if there's a solo that you've written or whatever, it is knowing that back to front so that you can just nail it like no tomorrow, but then also being comfortable enough in a recording situation that you can actually allow stuff to organically happen. Yeah,
because if you then become complacent and you're just playing the notes, that's what you employ a session player to do, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You employ a great session player to just play the notes and nothing else. Unless you're in a particularly creative environment where you want the session player to do something and come up with the part. But if you just want them to play the notes, the last thing you want is any of them. A bit like Paul Reed Smith says, last thing I want in my guitar factory is any guitar builders.
Guitar players?
What? No, builders.
Guitar builders?
Yeah, what I want in my factory is people who I can train to do a job.
Yeah, okay, wow.
Because what you don't want when you're shooting for consistency is somebody being creative.
Right.
You want them to do the thing the same every time.
That's amazing.
So I can't prove that he ever said that, actually. Somebody told me that, so he didn't say it to me personally.
Matt Presley, thank you very much, Matt. He says, can you recommend a great ethereal delay with modulation and perhaps even an octave overtone? As always, love the show. Thank you. The first thing that comes to mind is the Jams Delay Llama Extreme.
Yeah, if you want if you want it analog.
Yeah, that's an analog one.
Failing that, Source Audio Collider, which is a
yeah, there you go.
delay, is really great. Any of the modern multifunction delays kind of do it, don't they, Dan?
Yeah.
Digital jobs.
Yeah, if you do like the timeline.
Yeah.
The timeline does all that stuff with octave repeats and all that stuff. You know, octave up, octave down. It's all there. The cool thing about the Jam Pedals Delay Llama Extreme is that it does it all in an analog sense, and then so like the octave thing, it take the note and then it'll instantly double the delay time, sending the repeated note down an octave, and it's such a cool thing.
It's tremendously cool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else we've had on recently, which we really liked. Actually, on
the Mako,
yeah,
was really good.
Yeah, Walrus Mako. There's so many great delay pedals out
there. Yeah.
That reminds me of a delay-related question I'll come to in a sec. Wes Chilton, thanks for that, Wes. Wes says, hi, just got my Hudson Broadcast and wondered how you get that spitty, crapping out sound with it. I can't seem to get it. Could it be weak pickups? I have custom shop Fat 50s. Okay, Fat 50s definitely not weak pickups. So they should be more than enough to give the broadcast some beans. One thing I discovered with the broadcast this week, recording with it, a few people in the comments from the last vlog said, are you running it at 9 or 18 volts? And I said, I'm running it at 9 volts. And they're like, try it at 18, it's awesome. So I put it on 18 and I can get very little gain out of it.
Yeah.
So if you're running it at 18, try it at 9 and you'll find that it will do all those things. I'm pretty sure, depending on which model you have, there's an internal trimmer for gain as well. So just check that that's turned up.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was astounding. I was on the low gain side with the gain cranked and it was still clean.
Yeah. Because I think with the design of that, the gain stage in it, it is like there's the amount of voltage is completely correlates to the amount of headroom in that pedal.
Yeah.
You know, so there are overdrive stages and things that have that don't necessarily do that. If you know, some pedals can take 18 volts, but it won't change the gain structure inside the pedal.
Yeah.
But the broadcast absolutely does.
So you seem to be very bright on the screen, Dan, for reasons I don't understand.
Am I bright?
Yeah, I'm not sure. Not sure why that is.
Okay.
I think it's the iPhone trying to do things.
Okay.
See if that makes any difference.
Let me see if I can.
Nah, don't worry. I think it's fine. DJM check. Thank you, DJM check. That's very kind of you. Right, the aforementioned question that we had about delay, it was about the Adineco. One thing that came up on Friday in the comments was lots of people who either already own the cattle inbred Adineco oil can delay or they're thinking of buying it were very pleasantly surprised by the sounds we got out of it. You included, I think, Dan, weren't you?
Oh, that's going straight to the pool room. Yeah. I absolutely delicious delay.
So I thought, Anthony Murphy, here you are, Anthony. I hope you're with us, and if you're not, you might be watching this in the future. Anthony says, can you guys explain what the characteristics of an oil can delay are on Monday in Q&A? It sounded very reverb-like, or maybe DM2 without the high-end roll-off. I think we can conduct an experiment, Daniel.
Okay.
So what I need you to do is sing a guitar part.
Okay.
Go for it.
You ready?
Yep.
Here we go.
Okay, Okay, I thought that was instructive. So what we're going to
I loved it. I loved it.
What we're going to do now is explore the controls on the Add and Echo.
I love that you had that set up for that question.
Of course, mate.
You were awesome.
This is attention to detail, is all I'm saying. So, Dan, let's hear what the viscosity control does. If you could just give us one note there a sec.
Okay, so the
and again. And once more. And so the viscosity, I think, is our amount of warble through the oil. And then we've got timing as well, Dan. Give us a go.
Okay.
And balance. Keep it up. And I think, Anthony, the reason you were saying that it sounded reverb-like was because it actually has a reverb on it.
Oh, man, that's funny.
So if you now compare that with a drum.
You've got another one to compare it to. You're amazing.
So this is the classic drum delay in the Echo Rec style, and we like the Echo Rec, don't we, Dan?
We do, very much so. Very much so.
Okay, here's head one. Here's head four. Here's all four heads. I think what would be better is, can you sing a bit of Shine On You Crazy Diamond?
Can I sing it? Remember when you were young.
No, man, the guitar part.
Oh, that one. Heavens, hang on.
Or just sing any Gilmore solo.
Let's sing any Gilmore solo, okay? Diddle-doo-boo-boo-boo.
I thought it was indistinguishable. I actually thought David Gilmour had walked in the room
and stabbed me in the back.
Yeah, there we go. So I thought that was a very useful demonstration of what an on-can delay sounds like, in contrast to a drum delay.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause to Mick for having that set up ready to go. That was inspired, mate. Well done.
No worries, no worries. Well, I thought, people were moaning about the effects on your voice in the previous two shows, so I thought, let's actually, do something instructive and educational with it.
Yeah, and I think you ticked both of those boxes.
Thanks.
Beautifully. Yeah, it was great.
Oh, right. Let's see if we can catch up with some of these questions.
Donald G says, tell Dan I converted to Esquires to have something that most people aren't doing. I also found that you can get some interesting sounds from one pickup. That's awesome, Donald. And part of the conversation that I had with Alan Holdsworth that night when we sat at the bar was about how he got so many sounds out of the single pickup in his guitar. So there you go. You're in good company.
Pascal Dorian, hello Pascal, from Canada. Just realised how good my Mesa Lone Star sounds. Two cleans, channel 1 for a scoop clean, channel 2 for a mid-hump clean. This is
Nice.
this is my excuse to give you money. Thank you. Well, obviously, I don't know if you know, but I am a big fan of the Lone Star. I'm lucky enough to have two and use that amp pretty much exclusively for, I don't know, nearly 10 years, I would say. Certainly a good 8 years. Chris Covington, what about G, Sonface and wah placement? Wah before or after? Oh, God. We've made a couple of videos on this, and every time the buffer in the wah's got to be right if you want to put the fuzz after it.
Right.
And the only wah that we know that does it really well is the full tone Clyde with the built-in buffer that's designed for a fuzz to go after it.
Yeah, I've never had a problem with the wah before my fuzz. I prefer it as long as the wah has a really good true bypass. Then, yeah, having the wah before my fuzz has always been fine. Yeah, there's a couple of wahs that we tried that sounded great before fuzz. Yeah, the full tone was great. There was another one that was very quacky, super quack, which I thought sounded great before a wah as well.
Yes, and the wacko, the jam wacko is...
The jam wacko, incredible.
Completely awesome.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think you've just got to try it, do it both ways and see which one works for you.
Yeah.
And it really is very, very pedal dependent.
Yes, and different from fuzz to fuzz as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
Jake Garcia, who I'm sure signs his name Jay Garcia. Thanks for keeping the show during these times. Interested in your philosophy on tube maintenance. How often do you change your tubes? And how does clean headroom versus edge of breakup impact tube wear? Interesting. Some of the best guitar sounds I've heard on stage was when I was in Tin Spirits and I was standing next to Dave Gregory with his Matchless. And he still uses the original tubes that came with his Matchless in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And those things run at, really, really the edge of their capability. It's a tricky one. I don't know, Mick, what do you do? I basically ran them till they broke.
Yeah, I still do. Which is, crazy. When I lent Matt Schofield the 2-Rock to record his latest record, which isn't out yet, they immediately retubed it with Mullards. Old Mullards.
Right.
So I think it's a lot of people would consider Dan and I fairly in the rabbit hole when it comes to guitar sound. The tubes thing I've never really messed about with because, I don't want to rebias the amp every time I switch something. Because I'm not really au fait or confident. Not really au fait or confident with doing that in amps that don't have an actual adjustment, where you've actually got to get in the amp. Don't really want to do that.
Sure. I think I'd mentioned this before, especially with Foxes. Well, this is specifically with an AC30. The original schematic of the AC30 called for a 50 ohm cathode bias resistor. But this is in the early 60s when the valves that you're getting, so if you got Mullards, they could really handle a high voltage, like no problem. But the modern valves are different. And in my Vox, I've done a mod that goes between, I think, 50, 70 and an 80 ohm resistor, or 50, 65 and 80 ohm resistor, which will change the bias of the output valves. The reason being is I bought a set of original Mullards for my AC30, and with that 50 ohm cathode bias resistor, they sounded absolutely magical. But when I stuck JJs in there, they wouldn't last a few weeks of gigs. But at 80 ohms, they sounded amazing and lasted for ages. So it all depends on the valves you're using, the way that your amp is set up, but it does make a massive difference having the right setup for the valves that you're using, which is why guys who really know their tube amps, if you don't know what you're doing, taking your amp to someone who does know what they're doing as far as getting them biased and things makes a world of difference. Whenever I was on tour in Australia, I'd always have a guy who would, after 6 months or whatever, I'd take my amp to, and he'd get everything set up, and it would just run perfectly for 5 nights a week of heavy playing for 6 months. Yeah, great.
Maybe it is more relevant to if you're using an EL84 amp cranked or a 6v6 amp cranked or a smaller amp cranked, where you are pushing that power section and all the harmonics and everything that are coming out of the power section, whereas definitely for me, I've pretty much always used 100 watt fairly clean,
right,
6L6 type amps, and maybe it's not such a big issue there because the thing's running at, it's not cranked to that harmonic.
But if it's not, but again, it depends on how you're running the amplifier, because if you are running it, because when you were playing those gigs, I mean, you were loud, right?
Which ones?
When you kept buying Silverface Fenders because you couldn't buy one loud enough. Back. And if you're running an amplifier like that, then the way that it's biased and everything has an absolutely massive impact.
Yeah, sorry, that was kind of BC, before sound engineers, BSE. That was when bands were loud and could play loud.
Right.
Not in the modern. In modern times,
sure.
You use big amps.
And if you're running so within the, if you're nowhere near the limits of what the valve can do, then it will make less of a difference.
Jack Cooper 68. Jack Cooper 68. Hi, Jack. Mick, you mentioned being used to having to fight the Strat to get the best out of it. Dan, do you feel you have to fight your telly, or does it flow easily?
Oh, I fight my telly at every note, and that's part of the beauty. There's definitely a push-pull relationship. See, the telly's a weird thing. The Strat is the most comfortable, ergonomically perfect guitar. It just sits, and you've got the place where your arm sits, and it sits around your midriff, and it's just like, it's perfect. The telly's a block of wood that you have to sort of mold yourself around, and it's a really uncomfortable guitar to play in that situation. When you hit it hard, your forearm comes down and hits that ridge on the outside. Strat doesn't have that. It's made to be really comfortable. But there's something about the Telecaster that, given all that stuff, there are things in a Telecaster that you can't coax out of any other guitar. And there are days when it opens to you and delivers things, and there are days when it's more closed and you've got to work really hard for it. But I'm sure that's the same with any instrument. Yeah, certainly it's true for telly.
It's a reflection of the kind of players you like as well, isn't it? I mean, my hero, as when I was in my most kind of fertile time as a guitar player, fertile's probably the wrong word, you know what I mean? When I was kind of, well, I don't know, maybe it is the right word, but when I was ready to absorb, as it were.
Sure.
Eek, this is getting worse. Was Stevie Ray, and Stevie Ray was someone who attacked the guitar, and if you looked at who Stevie Ray listened to, it was Albert King, and Albert King attacked the guitar, and Albert Collins attacked the guitar, and all these people play hard. As time's gone on, I think my favourite players have become people who don't do that.
Wow.
Yeah, who let the guitar do the work and, play with a bit more finesse and grace, and which is not to say the other way is bad or wrong or I don't love it, but I am struggling to get out of that habit of having to hit the guitar hard. And what often happens is if you're unhappy with your sound, or if you're struggling, quite often the recourse is to just go at it a bit harder, and it's the wrong thing to do almost every
Yeah.
time.
Well, when Simon from Kingsley Pedals comes on, Simon Jarrett,
Yeah.
and he has such a light attack, but oh my goodness,
Tone.
if I could get notes the way that he does,
Yeah.
it's absolutely incredible. And the funny thing is, talking to Simon about the way that he plays, he says, well, he was struggling with, because he's always played so light, and it was a thing that that he struggled with. It's like, you know, he wished that he could play harder, but he doesn't. It's like, but then he got to realise, or he came to accept that's part of his sound, you know, and then developed his playing accordingly. And when you hear him play now, it's like, why would you play any other way? It's just absolutely divine.
Yeah.
I've got an issue with that. I'm very heavy with my right hand.
Oh, well, it segues absolutely into the strings debate, doesn't it?
Yeah, right.
Because, funnily enough, I was on the phone to Ron Ellis the other night.
Ah, bless him. How's he doing?
He's doing great. And we were talking about strings and heaviness of strings. And, you know, he is one of those people who's of the opinion that light strings sound better when they're played with more finesse.
Right.
I mean, I don't mean eights, I mean tens.
Yeah.
But, and then you get into, you know, because Rick Beato did that great video just recently, supposedly destroying the myth of heavy strings sounding good. And it really depends on you, because if you are that person who attacks the guitar, you have to have heavy strings. Josh
Dude,
Smith,
I can't. I've done the light strings thing, and I just can't play in tune.
Yeah, Josh Smith, you know, we say this all the time. He handed me that Chapin Telly that he plays,
Yeah.
13s, and I could literally not pull any treble out of that guitar whatsoever.
No.
He
We
plays
both
it.
tried and failed.
He plays it, sounds fantastic. So it's really not about whether the strings or the heavy attack is the right thing. It's about the combination of all of those things and what you do and how you orate on the guitar. And I think probably what happens is, as you get older, your hands start to hurt a bit more, and you have to learn how to rein it in a bit.
Sure.
And so many players have been through that, you know, where they've come down a string gauge when they get into their 40s and 50s.
And I think Stevie did as well, didn't he? Towards the end of his career, he came down a couple of gauges.
I'm pretty sure Jimmy Vaughan said he was on 11s towards the end.
Right. Wow.
And because his hands were killing him.
Yeah. Right.
So,
but do you remember? I mean, there's experiences when, you know, you're playing live and the band is great and the volume's right, and there are things that you can't express any other way than by hitting the guitar with everything that you have.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's like eights won't do that. You know what I mean? Eights won't allow you to do that.
No, unless you've developed your technique to a point where you're giving the impression that that's what's happening, because because the rest of your rig is compensating for that. Not compensating, that's the wrong word. Is working in harmony with. So you know the pedals and the amp and the guitar is doing more of the work.
Yeah,
I'm doing less. I find it consistently fascinating, and of course it's just one of those many things that. Because let's face it, if you come from my world, all the blues players play the same notes, right? All of them. It's the same 5 notes with a few others chucked in.
Everyone plays those 5 notes, Mick. It's the 5% of the rest of the solo that don't live in those 5 notes, but we're all there.
So, with that in mind, how is it that chuck 4 of them? Oh, the internet's gone off. We've gone off again. Have we gone off? We have gone off. Sorry, if we are still live, my apologies again. We are really struggling with internet today. I think it's gone down. Yawn. We may be back. We may be back. We may be back. Really sorry about this, folks. Hi, mate.
Hey, bud.
Das Internet died again.
Oh, okay. This is fun.
What's fun? The internet.
This.
Yeah, I think we're live.
I think we're good.
Really sorry to everybody for that. Really annoying. I guess where we are, we're in a kind of fairly rural place anyway, and then of course the whole world is online because of COVID.
Yeah, exactly. John W777 says, "Cheers, guys. Thanks for doing this and keeping us sane. Here's a 20. Please spend it on beer. He's celebrating 56 today. Happy birthday, John."
Happy birthday, John.
Yeah, mate. All the best to you, buddy. Hope you're great.
Hope you're doing something good on your birthday.
Yeah.
Rusyan Shagisultanov, we saw you last week. Thank you very much. This probably is actually his name, Dan.
Shagisultanov.
Yeah. He says, can we get Dan to talk about Alan Holdsworth more? Not today. Yes. Pete Melbourne. Thanks, Pete. Have a beer, Dan, to soothe your throat. Michael Long. Thank you, sir. Zack Briggs was chucking in 199s for every time we turned on the effect. He did say, actually, in a previous round of comments that the more effects, the more he'd chuck in. But we won't.
Awesome.
We won't abuse that. Lion Wolf. Hello, Lion Wolf. Hey, you lovely boys. Hey, you lovely Lion Wolf. A subtle fuzzy noise like frying bacon on the low nights is coming out of my Princeton reissue 65, especially with the aux and the headphones. Not pleasant at all. Any ideas?
Could be a bunch of things. 99% of those noises come from valves.
Yep.
If it's not valves, it could be the filter capacitors. But yeah, valves or filter caps. That's where it'll be.
I hear that fuzzy out of all direct digital guitar sounds. Every single one.
Right.
So whether it's something worse than that or whether it is just the sound of that, I don't know. But that's what I hear when I listen to that stuff.
You know how you don't like speaker distortion?
Yeah.
I think that this is an extended version of that.
Right. Let me qualify that. When it's Jimi Hendrix or Paul Kossoff or Billy Gibbons or any of the fantastic guitar sounds that have been recorded throughout history, all with a mic on a speaker, I might add. I love speaker distortion, but it's not something that suits me in terms of the kind of sounds that I like to get. Although,
sure.
I don't know about you, Dan. I've had a remarkable tonal turnaround in the last 2 years.
Oh my word! Are you kidding me? It's been amazing.
So
doing this show has been the absolute best thing ever for me tonally. I have learnt so much.
Oh, off the scale amount of learning.
Yeah,
and realizations. That's the thing, isn't it? It's stuff that you probably knew theoretically, but required the realization, the personal realization, to make it have any context.
Yeah, totally.
Kevin O'Shea, hello from Cork in Ireland. Hello to Cork in Ireland, and hello to you, Kevin. 2 questions. Do you dig Firebirds? I've only ever had an Epiphone one.
I've got to play a bunch of them, like old ones of Dave Gregory's, and it was his main guitar in Tin Spirits. The sounds that he could get from that thing. I think a good sounding Firebird is one of the most flexible but tonally beautiful guitars ever made.
But you don't.
And the pickups are so special.
Because they're their own thing, aren't they?
They are completely their own thing.
Yeah.
They're humbuckers, but the clean single coil type sounds you can get from them are like, unlike any other humbucker pickup out there. But boy, oh boy, nothing. The rock tone from a really good sounding Firebird, man alive.
Yeah.
Unreal.
I got rid of mine because you couldn't lean it against anything. Honestly, because of that. So it was a liability at gigs. And also, whenever I came to tune it, I was like, hang on, this is all in the wrong place. So more time required. But I agree with you. Every time I hear one, it sounds, whether we're talking about Cream Clappo all the way back then, or Johnny Winter, or Phil Manzanera, just absolutely classic guitar tones down the years. Second question from Kevin O'Shea in Ireland was, could you recommend a tone bender type for a tone bender novice, please?
Oh, interesting. So we're going to do, at some point, when Mick and I are allowed in the same room together, a follow-up of the tone bender show that we did. And I've been reaching out to a few people that make tone bender style fuzzers, and I've been really pleasantly surprised how many great ones there are out there. And in fact, Josh from JHS will be in the he's always coming up with new stuff, and there's going to be like a tone bender style fuzz. He's already done one, but I think there's another one coming out at some point. But there's, it's such an influential pedal and circuit, and it's been it's influenced so many great pedals out there. So when I went looking for the pedals for the follow-up, there are so many. I don't know where you'd start, to be honest.
Does are there any tone bendery things in Thorpe and Dan Coggins's new bunch of stuff?
Oh, good question. I don't think so.
Not sure.
No. I tell you what, have a look at there's an amazing builder, Brad from Creepy Fingers, and he does a lot of tone bender stuff, and it's really reasonably priced. Boy, oh boy, it sounds exceptional.
Union Tube and Transistor.
Great shout.
Do tone bender types. That isn't one, but they do. They do them.
Oh, also the Stone Bender. This should be there on your just on that shelf there.
Here, the one that I'm looking at.
Yep, it should be there. The Stone Bender.
I might have moved it. Oh, there you go.
Oh, okay.
That doesn't look like it's available anymore.
Oh, really?
Is it by Throwback? Is that who that's
by?
Oh,
yes.
Maybe it is. Stonebender by Throwback. Yeah, I can remember us really liking that.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Wonderful. I hope their pedals were just wonderful, and then they added the pickups to their line. But I really hope they continue to make the pedals because their stuff is awesome.
Yeah. And then, of course, check out Macaris.co.uk. Might be Macaris.com, but it might... Anyway, Macaris, from whence the tone bender originates, the Macari family.
Well, we have David Rain sending us a freaking bender as well.
Is he?
Yeah.
Very cool. And just check out their offerings, I would say. Matt. Hello, Matt. Thank you for that. Hi, guys. Recently discovered my optical compressor and high gain distortion pedals together cause mush. Could this be fixed with a clean blend compressor? So you're using the optical compressor and the high gain distortion and it gets mushy. Can you fix it with a compressor with a clean blend?
It depends on what you're after your compressor to do. Remember that when you're using your high gain distortion pedal, your signal is already really compressed. So what are you adding the compressor for? Are you trying to get more sustain out of a guitar that doesn't sustain naturally? Yeah.
Theoretically, yes, I would say is the answer, isn't it, Dan?
Well, so what it will do, it'll give you the attack back. It'll give you the transience of the distortion back. But again, yeah, great.
I think that I'm not a massive compressor person, but that with the clean blend is awesome.
Yeah, wonderful.
And if you want the king of all compressors for guitar,
here we go.
And this is, we're not talking MXR Dynacomp here. This is not about a compressed quacky country sound. Nobody makes better compressors than that, in my opinion.
There you go. Nice.
However, the LA2A optical compressor PC2A, that doesn't have a clean blend, does it?
No.
The Effectrode one doesn't have a clean blend, and the other compressor that I really love is the LA2A Union tube and transistor one, but again, I don't think that has a clean blend. Try it. The SP compressor, I think, is not stupidly expensive.
No, and it's wonderful, and it's still optical,
and it's compact.
Yep. So that clean blend will give you your transients back at the if that's what you're after.
You still there?
Yeah, I'm here, baby.
I'm now living in fear of the internet going off. Just while I reconnect there, let's take another question from the ones that came in over the weekend.
Okay.
Curtis Kugel, which, if that really is your name, Curtis, it is a fantastic name. Curtis Kugel with K's. He wants to know, I'm sure this has been answered before, but what are those mics on the cabs? We use the Sontronics Delta 2 ribbon mics for pretty much everything. They go right in the center of the speaker and seem to be a lovely flat frequency response. You put other kind of mic right in the center of the speaker and it would sound pretty horrible. But
right.
They are really great, and we've been using them pretty much for everything ever since we've had them. However, I do think I might have discovered a sound pressure level. And they are designed, they're active, so they take 48 volts phantom power. Right. And they are designed to take high SPL, but I reckon we've been in a couple We've been in a couple of situations where we've overpushed them. And to be fair, Simon Law of SVL Guitars, who used to tech for Matt Schofield and does a lot of recording with Matt, told me that the only mic they can use on his cabs, on his 2-rock cabs, are the Neumann TLM 102 condensers, because they take crazy high SPL and they have really good frequency response.
So these are the ones when we went to see Matt being recorded, they were on his cabs. We walked into the room and that's one of the loudest guitar sounds I've ever heard.
Yeah.
And then walked into the control room and it sounded like that in the control room.
Exactly the same. Because you wouldn't normally use a microphone like that on a guitar cab. You normally use some kind of dynamic, either a Shure SM57 or a Sennheiser 421 or a Royer ribbon mic, or indeed the Sontronics ribbon mics are much more common on guitar cabs. So, yeah, constant learning process. To answer the question, they are Sontronics Delta 2 ribbon mics.
Nice.
Trying to get back to the program, Dan. Trying to get back to the program.
Chris Collins Guitar says, Dan, tearing up some diminished fusion lines on that Strat last episode was badass. Love the show and both of you playing. Thank you so much, Chris. That's very kind. I've been working on that. I've been working on my altered scales and my whole half, all that stuff. And it's starting to come together.
I felt a bit diminished this morning, I'm honest. Ian McIver. Sorry. He'll set him up. I'll knock him down. Ian McIver says, About Friday's video, this is interesting. As much as you can appreciate the thought that went into the selections of pedals, given both D and M's abilities as players and tone sculptors, I wonder whether they could successfully get a great tone out of any 4 pedals. Maybe a future similar episode would be a blindfold selection of pedals and then dialing in a tone that you would be happy to use.
Dude, you know what we need? We need like a wheel of fortune where we just put like random pedals on there and we spin it.
Yeah. Now, I am really not a fan of blindfold challenges, guessing what things are and all of that. I think this is a great twist on the blindfold thing. So, your job isn't to guess what it is. Your job is to not know what it is and get a great sound out of it. I think that is a valid use of the blindfold challenge.
Love it.
Shall we do that?
Yeah, I am so there. I love that idea.
Ian McIver, thank you very much for that idea. We're totally going to do it.
The Wheel of Fortune.
On Guitarist Magazine, we always wanted to have a fruit machine where you pull the lever and then it just comes up with a list of pedals. What if we could invent that?
Okay.
Here.
That's brilliant.
Seeing as we were talking about Blindfold Challenge, a question came up about the captain, Lee Anderton from Anderton's Music. And lots of people saying, including Mamka Tabor, Tommy Noble, I'm a Cashew, and Letars, all say that me and Dan play the captain's lick a lot.
Okay.
Can you remember what the captain's lick actually is?
I think it's this.
Because
tell me if I'm wrong, but I think it's this. Is it this? Hang on.
No, it's not that. He does play that a lot. It is. I'll find it.
It's not that Joe Walsh thing.
No, he does play that a lot.
Right. Ah, well.
I should know this because I did Pete's challenge on it. Right, here we go. Here is the captain's lick. If this is going to work, is it going to work?
My name is Pete. As you're probably aware, we've now all been told to try to self-isolate and work from home as much as possible. And that's exactly what has happened now at Anderton's as well. The shop is...
Here's Pete. Come on, play the lick, Pete.
Come on, Pete.
Revival Drive Compact.
This is how people watch that pedal show. Come on, Pete.
Into a little loop. And then I was going to go to D and back to A. So, we are on A, and this is his lick. And then I was going to go to D and back to A.
That can't be it, surely. Because that's definitely not the captain's lick. Many people have played that before.
Oh, yeah.
Come on. This is boring, isn't it? There's people screaming at the screen going, that is not the captain's lick, you idiots. Oh, I don't know.
No idea then. I thought it was that Joe Walsh thing.
Anyway, so I think the point we were going to make was it's probably been played by a lot of people.
We're now receiving money for our Wheel of Fortune experiment.
Nice. This is shambolic. There you go.
That's quality entertainment, Mick. What are you talking about?
It is. I just, I need someone to press the buttons. I'm not good at this. Right. Domenico Lanzo. Hello, Domenico, and thank you for your question. He says, both of you are the kind of player I admire and inspire to be for different reasons. Well, blimey, thank you very much. When was a point in your guitar journey that made you realise you actually had become a competent guitarist?
Not there yet.
Yeah. That's not true, Dan. That's false modesty. You know that you're a competent guitarist.
Okay.
I'm only saying that because that's exactly what you would say to me, because I would say exactly the same thing.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. I think I have days when I play and I think, yeah, that sounded good. That's, that was pleasing. Then I have days when I think, why do I bother? I think I'm so far from being a competent guitar player on some days. I've never had, I think, even on your bad, when you're gigging loads, even on those days that you don't feel great, you can always get up and hit the play button inside your head and carry it off. And I think it's like, for me personally, that came from years and years and years of just being out there doing gigs.
Yeah.
But there was never one point where I thought, hey, I've got this together now.
No, because they're all just plateaus of realising how far away.
Exactly, like any other thing.
Yeah, and then you'll see somebody who gives you that existential crisis. And it can be in such different ways. I've had a couple over the last few years. One was Ed O'Brien, where we did the show with Ed and I went away to Spain and came back thinking that everything I'd done had been a total waste of time. And the other one was about 3 hours ago watching Tom Booker Vac. Booker Vac. And these moments come, but the problem that one has in that situation is comparing yourself to other people.
Yeah.
And you've just got to stop doing it. You've got to play. Yep. You've got to play because you love it. You've got to play what comes out of you and do it for that reason and no other reason. And then all the questions about, am I competent? How do I compare to other people become redundant? It's very hard to get to that point. And, most musicians are nowhere near it because we do spend our lives comparing ourselves to others. But the great artists, the really great artists, they don't think about that stuff.
No.
And that's
not at all.
That's the journey, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, I get, it's different. If you're just picking up the guitar or you've been playing for a year and you're still, struggling to make it sound musical or you're basically competent, and yeah, there's work to do, there's practice to do. But if you can play some stuff and you can stand up in front of an audience and play some songs, that is competent enough.
Yeah. The biggest thing for me was knowing how I wanted to sound and being exposed to enough music and enough guitar players to hear things that I wanted to be able to reproduce. It's one thing to play guitar every day and have fun, but it's another thing to actually have a vision of where you want to be sonically. And I think I was, at a young age, I certainly had a goal to spend as much time playing and be as good as I could be. And there were sounds that I wanted to be able to recreate. So if you've got a sort of a vision sonically of the sound that you want, and that you want to be able to reproduce, then that's a really big deal. Like Mick, when you were so turned on by those massive blues tones, and so everything that you did sort of lent towards that and being able to, does this get me further away or closer to that sound?
Yeah, and I think there's something important to add there, because I never, ever did the rabbit hole of trying 18 tube screamers, believe it or not, back in the day. That's only happened since I've met you. Back in the day, it was...
You're welcome.
I'm very happy. I was taking the spirit of what was inspiring me and trying to channel the spirit rather than the exact. So I didn't know. I had no idea what amp Stevie Ray Vaughan used. I didn't know that number one was a 59 body and a whatever it is net. I still don't really know now. I was never interested in that kind of detail, bizarrely. I was just interested in the spirit of it. And I think, that's also it's all very heady, isn't it? We've gone way off the question. Anyway.
Jake Loosemore's asked a really interesting question.
Hello, Jake. How are you?
He says, Hey Mick, hey Dan, hope you're well. How much better is a 2-Rock CRS than something like my Sir Bella Reverb? Is it worth the upgrade?
Somebody else has asked this as well. Someone else has said, really love the sound of the 2-Rock, but we don't all have that kind of cash. What gets close? Jake, to answer your question, I don't know the Bella well enough to say that. And all I would say about the 2-Rock is it really is not for everybody. Lots of people really struggle to play it. And even I came in here yesterday and I'm going, no headroom today. I'm not quite sure what's happening. And that was my state of mind. It was nothing to do with the amp. But for me, it's the best guitar amp I've ever heard in my whole life.
Yeah.
And having heard it on that day and played it and gone, okay, now there's just no other choice. I have to find a way. And for other people, that's going to be a different thing. You know, it might be the Sir Bella, or it might be a knackered old 1974 Plexi. It could be anything.
Yeah.
There is no better, right? All there is what talks to you. And of course, I think it is worth just reflecting on the fact that as much as I love that thing, I can't really use it anymore. Because those days are sort of over, really, for most of us. Even Doyle Bramall and Matt Schofield have to baffle it
I
off,
think they're
and
coming back. I think
it is coming back.
They'll come back with a massive.
I've absolutely no doubt about the fact that it is coming back, but it's gone away for now. So I don't know. I can't. It's not really a question I can ask. It's a bit like, you know, there is no doubt in the world that pick your boutique guitar maker of choice. Anderson, PRS. There is no doubt that they build guitars that are so much better than this, it's laughable. But I can't play a single one of them. And I can play this. So I don't know what that means. It just means that everyone is an individual. And if you can possibly, this is easy for me to say, if you can possibly forget about the destination and concentrate on the journey, it will be so much more fun.
Yeah.
Because I'm doing that. I did that with my Strat. I've gone down this rabbit hole trying to chase the, you know, making it sound like the 61, and all I've had is 18 months of pain and playing rubbish. So you kind of got to go there to come back. So my answer is philosophical, and sorry for going down the rabbit hole on it, but yeah, just as, you know, I've asked Matt Schofield that question. I've asked my heroes the same question about gear and stuff, and their answer is the same. And it's like, by the way, Jake, I appreciate you have heroes that are, you know, up there. They'll tell you the same thing. You can't really say. You just got to feel it.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Totally.
Sorry for going off on one there, but
no, I think because the rabbit hole is something that we're all down, and just being able to share the experience of while you're in that, you know, situation, it really does help. So, you know, like watching your Strat vlog and seeing what you've gone through, it's like it's been so. It's helped me understand the questions that I need to ask about the pickups that I want to try with my Telecaster. You know, like, so for my old Tele, the pickups in this are not original. They're actually old 50s Telecaster pickups that have been rewound. So I want to try a couple of things. But seeing what you've gone through is like, actually the pickups that are in there sound really great. So the things that I'm going to try are going to be really limited.
yeah. John Reed has put it very nicely. John has just commented and said, forget about the equipment. Just get the best sound you can from what you have and then go from there. I think that is just about the best advice ever. And it's a bit rich coming from me and Dan because, you know, look around us. It's insane what we have here. But, you know, I started playing in bands when I was 14 probably. I was out gigging regularly at 15. Dan, I think, may have been a little bit later than that. But we spent the first 20 years of our lives not having any gear,
Yeah.
playing lives. Well, maybe a bit less than that for me because I ended up on a guitar magazine, but certainly the first 10 years of playing without having any gear. You know, the only thing you had was what you had. And what John has just said is absolutely right. You know, you have no option but to get the best sound out of the gear you have.
Yeah.
But we are in this very weird position now where despite the fact that it is many thousands of dollars, it's still cheap compared to what gear used to cost years ago, like half a year's salary. You had to go on tick for it, or you had to rent it, or whatever.
Or if you're a classical musician.
Yeah. So, yeah. Anyway, rabbit hole. More rabbit holes. Lots of people are saying, don't apologise for the rabbit holes. That's what we come here for. Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Well, Aaron Singh has asked a pertinent question at this juncture.
Yeah.
Are we doing Stone Age tomorrow? No, he says, evening chaps, are your gigs in September still going ahead or danger of being rescheduled? Keep safe. Cheers.
So far, they're going ahead because every indication is that we're going to be out of this by then. So every indication that they're going to be going ahead. But obviously, we don't know for sure. But as it stands, the venues are booked, the tickets are valid, they are going ahead. So
I cannot wait.
nor me.
It's going to be amazing.
I was listening to some Steely Dan today. Can we please do a Steely Dan song?
Oh, yeah.
And
we can do, tell you what's a really good one. We can do Put Us Up For.
Yes.
Doug sings that.
Funnily enough, I was listening to that thinking that would be a good one to do.
Like, awesome, done.
All right. But I was also thinking about Reeling in the Years.
Okay.
Just because of the dual guitar harmony possibilities.
Put Us Up For guitar harmonies all over the place.
Is it?
It's awesome.
That's what we're going to do then.
Okay.
Matt Miller. Matt, sorry, you've been asking this question for ages and we haven't answered. Matt, I'm thinking of changing the guard on my 56 custom shop Strat in seafoam green for something else. Do you have any suggestions on what would look nice? Well, Matt, there's only 2 pick guards allowed on that guitar. One is the correct parchment white. Is it parchment? Anyway, the correct white one from the period, or anodized gold. I don't even know if seafoam came with anodized gold, but it was what would happen in the 50s. Anything else, just fundamentally not allowed. I don't think they were doing tortoiseshell then. No, because tortoiseshell were all 3-ply. So unless there was anything else they did period correct, it's either anodized gold or the correct white one. Silver, maybe? Did they do any silver ones early doors?
No idea.
Aluminium? Don't know. Yeah, otherwise I'll have a little breakdown if it's not period correct.
He really will.
If you want to learn more about that, watch tomorrow's vlog. Did you laugh at the knobs part, Dan?
It was brilliant. It was so good. Yeah, and it was really interesting hearing the 50s, 60s.
Yeah.
But what did you, I mean, did you have a conclusion which you preferred?
I think I prefer the 50s, 60s.
Right.
Because they're slightly rounder. There's a bit more compression on the top strings.
Right.
And there's a bit more lower mid. So to me, it's more of that traditional original Strat sound. But I really love the 64s because they've got that pokier kind of slightly more aggressive way they handle. They don't compress in the same way, the top strings particularly. So I'm pretty sure the 50s, 60s will say in blue and the 64s will go in transit van, or it might be the other way round because they're both awesome for different reasons.
Can I just say Andy Timmons has joined us?
No way, Andy!
Hey, buddy, miss you. Cannot wait to see you and hang out. Boy, oh boy. So yo, Dan and Mick, watching from our studio in Texas. Oh, man.
Andy, we've got a slightly crumpled cardboard cutout of you, so you are here with us. Hope you're well, mate.
The legend.
For anyone,
Oh,
for anyone that doesn't know, by some sort of divine miracle, we are doing some gigs with Andy Timmins in September. So it's going to be a trip to do that. 5 gigs: Fat Lils, the Cavern Club, something 2 in Birmingham, Water Rats. 4 gigs.
One in London. Yeah, 4 gigs. Yeah.
So please.
Yeah,
check.
but sending you lots of love, mate. Miss you. Can't wait to see you. Wow.
Oh.
Andy's been doing some live gigs, sort of online stuff as well. So you guys really need to check those out because they're just phenomenal.
Absolutely. And all Andy's stuff, tuition stuff, all of it.
Yeah.
Sublime. Great to have you here. The Riff Junkie. Mick, do you remember, do you think about the Above and Beyond gigs in Dorset? Happy days. Twin, TS9, Wire and a Strat. The Riff Junkie is remembering my old days as a teenager when we had a band called Above and Beyond and we played really loud in pubs and it was fantastic. I do think about them a lot. Those guys we were like brothers and I miss it. I really miss it. I miss that camaraderie of being in a van and being idiots and playing really loud. It's a bit different, isn't it, Dan, when you're in your and you've got a mortgage and a gas bill, and you know you can't get trashed because someone else is driving, and
and you got a message that says please come home. The dog's crapped on the carpet. And, I'm not feeling up to cleaning it. Yeah, all that stuff.
Start choosing your amps because of the size of the boot you've got in your car. You know, that kind of thing. We had a van and a PA, and so yes, I do. The Riff Junkie. I think about those days a lot, and just very glad and proud to have been involved in all of that. So yeah, wow. Yeah,
Chris Parsons says, any designs to try different speakers in the 5E3? I'm thinking of building a kit out of and. Love your thoughts on speakers. My favourite speaker in a 5E3 is a Celestian Blue.
Yeah.
Magic in a 5E3.
For those people that don't know, Dan and I built a 5E3 each, and both of them had issues. I think because of our, Dan's not bad with the soldering iron, but building an amp's a different thing, and mine was even worse. So I think we're going to send it back to Chris and have him rebuild it. We also use some weird pots, so it doesn't sound like other 5E3s. Whose 5E3 was I playing just recently? It sounded unbelievable. Just headroom, loud, just really cool. Whereas that one's into instant distortion. And it would be great to get it working because I do think, like you said,
definitely.
Just such a great recording amp and a great amp in general. So, speakers, don't know, we'd have to get into that. Arda Iberturk says, more Strat vlogs, please. There's one tomorrow, the final one.
Is it the last one?
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, decision made.
Aaron Singh, man. Thank you, Aaron. Need a replacement for my Boonar. Looking for a headstock delay pedal that's the same size of the Boonar as limited space. Any recommendations? The Catlin bread is the obvious choice.
Why do you want to replace the Boonar, just out of interest?
I love the Boonar.
Because for me, it's the best sounding one.
Yeah. Interesting.
The Catlin bread is very good. The Echo-Rec. Very, very good indeed. It does rob a little bit of top end where the Boonar is a bit cleaner sounding, I think. Or at least my one does. Either that or the Strymon Volante, but that's too big.
Yeah, interesting. Daniel Wu asked, Telecaster with or without Bigsby? Without. Unless you specifically want a Bigsby Telecaster.
Yeah.
But I don't know. Something about, the Bigsby is a wonderful sounding piece of metal, but I've never been able to make it stay in tune. Some people have awesome. But I think it's tricky. It's tricky with a telly on a Bigsby because of the break angle. And I put one on an old telly. I could just never make it work. The strings would always skip off the saddles. Yeah.
Yes.
So I'd say just without, if what you want is a telly, and put a Bigsby on something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know what it does. I mean, if you forget using it for a second, I don't know what it does to the sound of a telly. It'll do something for sure. I don't know whether it would reduce some of that kind of characteristic bite that a telly has because you're changing the bridge relationship. Would be interesting to hear from somebody who has more experience. Right, let's do a couple more questions, Dan.
Okay.
Voodoo Highway Band, hello Voodoo Highway Band, says, Mick, what were the gain settings on the Marshall Plexi when you used it with the Fuzz Face? This one here, we try and crank up the normal channel as high as it will go before it gets into overdrive, so usually about 3 or 4, I guess. And then the bright channel we put just on. And then that's surprisingly loud enough.
Yeah.
Here, that'll hit you 100 dB, no worries. Is really, really different from a 100-watt one. 100-watt one, you can turn up much more and it won't overdrive. That thing, especially in the high treble channel, starts overdriving pretty much instantly.
Yep.
So, yeah. We should get 100, actually. Not for the volume, but I just think it's a better sound.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Totally. I'm using a 100-watt JCM 900 at the moment for a video.
Are you?
Yeah. And I had the 50-watt version. And tell you what, the 100-watt sounds great. That's just the clean channel.
Yeah.
With the gain turned up about halfway, turned up loud into a closed back 2x12. Boy, oh boy, what a sound.
Emil Ong, hello Emil. Are you guys considering doing more backstory videos on your guitars while you're on lockdown? I was just enjoying the last round from a couple years back. There's a good shout actually, because we are a hint of panic as to what to do. The last video we have recorded in the can is this Friday.
Oh, is it really?
And for everyone in the US, I keep saying in the can. We're just going to pull it out of the can. Yes, so that's it. We've run out on Friday. So we are going to have to think about something to do, and that may be an option.
Okay. Andy's just sent us money.
Oh, God. What are you doing, man? I see.
Mate, I love you. You're just the best.
He says he needs a new fuzz shirt. But I'm afraid I'm a large now during this stressful time. Okay, one in the there's a new fuzz shirt in the post to you, Andy. Bless you, mate. Thank you.
Oh dear. Oh well.
Chris Barcosi's here.
Ah, Chris.
I think because someone's just sorry, I keep calling him Barcosi. Barowski. I see it as Barcosi, it's Barowski. Chris works for Thomann in Germany and is a really awesome human with one of the best 52 tellies I've ever played. Reissues.
Yeah, lovely.
Ville Silvola. Hello, Ville. Mick, can the next series of vlogs be on the casino? I'm going to miss the vlogs if they end altogether. They're definitely not going to end. Going to carry on with the song vlog next. Then I've got some P90s to put in the PRS McCarty soap bar.
Oh, yeah, lovely.
And then I'm just talking to Lola at the moment about the new pickups for the casino, so that definitely will be upcoming. Yeah.
Awesome.
What do you got coming up vlog-wise, Dan?
I'm working on something now, and I've been working on it for a few days. I don't want to say what it is in case I can't get it to work.
Okay.
But if it does work, then it's going to be magnificent. But if it doesn't, then I shall never talk of it.
Okay. Kevin Carter. Hey, Dan and Mick. Thoughts on a tube preamp for a fly rig going to PA and home practice into a computer. My Leclean, which is by 2 notes, I believe, is buzzy and the OD is weak. Thanks. The Kingsley stuff is the best, but it's very hard to come by.
Yeah, so look at Kingsley and look at Effect Road.
Yeah.
Those two, they're just amazing. I also have the Big Trees from Audio Kitchen, and it's also doubles as an amplifier. It's like a 1 watt amplifier, and it is absolutely superb. So, there are some alternatives out there.
Victory V4 series, definitely worth a look.
Yeah, definitely. The Victory stuff is amazing.
Much more easily available and very cost effective too. So, yes, I would definitely recommend those. Right, last couple. MG, hi guys, could you include an Analog Man Sunline in an episode or share your thoughts on it, please? Pardon me. I don't recall seeing one in many episodes. We actually don't have a Sunline, do we?
No, so the Sunline has a treble booster and the Sonface in one pedal. And it's a really, really interesting pedal.
We do have this. Is that something along those lines, Daniel?
It's it's similar. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
But no, we should get a Sunline because they're wonderful.
Yeah.
Christopher Clement, soup or salad? Soup for me.
Soup. Yeah. Absolute salad dodger, me. Art Moon, hey Mick, really looking forward to your next vintage Strat video blog. Yeah, maybe. That would be good. That would be good one day. Right.
Okay, well, look, everyone, thank you for joining us.
BV, yes, we have answered Andy's super chat question. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks to BV for moderating today.
Yeah, thank you, BV. Abs superstar.
Okay, last one then. Here we go. Zoot Allure
Nice.
says, gents, any thoughts on having different speakers in a single cab? I'm running wet dry with two 212 cabs. Currently, all 4 speakers are the same. Are there any advantages to using different speakers?
So you have, say a matchless DC30, which famously has 2 different speakers in it. You've got things like the Audio Kitchen Big Chopper cabinet, 2 different speakers in it. There are certain amplifiers designed to work with, 2 different speakers, and they can sound absolutely amazing. Look at that. There they are.
That's Dan's matchless cabinet, which has 1 greenback and special designed 30 watt 8 ohms, which may be a take on the Heavy Magnet Anniversary, might be a Heavy Magnet greenback, I don't know. So you've got 1 heavy magnet and 1 medium magnet. As Dan just said, matchless, very well known for doing that over the years. What have you got to be careful of, Dan? Phase?
Yeah, you've got to be careful of phase, same as with any multiple speaker rig. But you also need to be, think of how complementary the frequency curves is of the speaker. And it's a really weird thing. Sometimes the combinations just work and sometimes they just don't. And that's not necessarily just a speaker thing. It also depends on the joy that the amp is putting out. And what it comes down to is just a bunch of hard work, getting your hands dirty, trying a bunch of different things. But it can be wonderful.
Yeah, I've never tried it. Don't think.
Well, I first heard it with the Matchless, and it blew my mind. And I have used it, like with my Lazy J, I've got a powered extension cab.
Yeah.
The top amplifier had a Celestian Blue. The bottom one had a greenback. And those 2 together were just unstoppable.
Yeah. Some people do it because they might want a mic like the Greenback, for example, but have a more powerful speaker for the on-stage sound. That could be a possible benefit of doing it.
Sure.
Maybe. Okay, right. Let's wrap it up there. Dan, we're going to play it on a musical note. I'm going to play some chords. You're going to sing us a nice song. Okay. You've got a Robert Plant style echo there.
Okay.
Good. And we'll just make it great. And we'll play a nice country and western song. Eat your heart out, Taylor Swift.
There you go. All right, cheers, guys. Take care, everyone. Stay safe.
See you tomorrow.
And, yes, see you tomorrow for Mick's vlog, and then we'll see you on Monday.
And Friday for Heavy Tones.
Oh, yes. Heavy Tones this Friday with Rabia. Don't miss it. It's going to be awesome.
Oh, I really hope we got that. I think my... Can you ask the crowd if they got the country and western song?
Did everyone get the country and western song? The blues, jazz blues improvisational piece.
Because my phone, I think, was crapping out.
Yes, we certainly did.
Good.
Yes, they all got it.
See you next week.
See you next week, guys. Bye.